Hello, everyone. Welcome to Simply Felicity. I have with me a guest that I am honored to be interviewing today. He's actually someone who made a big impact on my life many years ago, and I'm going to remind him about that again as we start off. But I am talking to today the author of Relationship Ready. You're eager, but is your heart prepared? What a perfect subtitle right there. So, welcome with me, LeAnzar Stockley. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
Good. So, this is the relationship. I'm part of the Relationship Ready tour. I love that
Oh.
you came up with that.
Ain't it nice?
It gave it a focus, and
Yeah, yeah,
if you name it, they will come. People who
yeah,
want to
yeah.
people who want to bring you on, and who says that you can't do a tour during what is called a pandemic, right?
Right, exactly,
You've got
exactly. We
you've
make it
got
work.
we make it work. Got your virtual tour on. And I would have to say it's a very important message that you've got going in the book. And um, it is a part of who you are. Talking about relationships is who you are. And what I wanted to just share as part of my journey with you is whenever I think about you, I think of, I don't even know how many years ago it was, maybe 10 years ago or so, at an event called Caritas, and you were preaching. And I don't remember the title, but the what I will never forget was when you talked about this whole culture that was going on in the church about, kind of, you could say, bless and release, kind of
Mm,
like the catch and
mm.
release program with criminals. It's kind of a bless and release, thinking that people, you graduate, I don't need that level anymore, or I can't get
Mhm,
here if I don't let go of all this. And what came along with that um, was a real, like, discarding of people,
mhm,
and um,
mhm.
and a real detachment. And as I've grown now in my spiritual journey to learn that we are truly all one
We're all
with
connected.
all
Yeah.
another, with one another, like that, um, healing that understanding was so powerful for me. And
Mm,
it was like it was like a knife to that thought that we are all separated,
mhm,
that
mhm,
we're all like distinct and separated, and I have to protect myself from you, and I have to get away from this and that in order to be me, type of thing. Like, it, to embrace what you spoke that night, I just really think it was huge in the beginning of a spiritual journey for me, because it broke that understanding for me.
awesome.
And that was just really, really powerful to begin to look at other people, all other people, as brothers and sisters.
Mhm,
And what am I doing to them? What am I thinking about them? What am I saying about them?
mhm.
And
Yeah,
what I'm doing. So
yeah,
do you remember that?
yeah. It was. I think it was because I was the keynote that night,
Yep.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
that was. I can't remember the title either, but it was something about the relational artist or something like that. Um, it was something along those lines.
Mm, yeah, right, right. And was it even before the book Relationality? Were you in the point of writing Relationality? Then that's the name of your first book, right? Am I saying it right? Oh, I'm believing he'll be back. Sorry about that. Or maybe I'm the one that's frozen. I don't know. Let me look at the screen here. Ah, nope. It's just him frozen. Well, I'll give it another couple minutes, but yeah, that was just very impactful of my life. I'm interested to see where you can get this book. Again, I'm talking to author LeAnzar Stockley, and the book Relationship Ready, and I'm sure he'll pop back in just a second. Um, yeah, I'm greatly enjoying reading the book.
There,
Yay, he's back
there we
already.
go. There
He's
we go.
back.
Did I lose?
I'm like, maybe I'm frozen. Then I looked at Facebook. I was like, oh no,
Yeah, yeah.
frozen.
But yeah, it was that was prior to relationality.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was one of the building blocks there.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually in the process of writing relationalities.
I
So
thought
yeah.
so. Okay,
Yeah.
so you were in the process of writing it. Yeah. Made me so interested in this work, and I've been watching the progression of it. Um,
Awesome.
so yeah, so let's talk about Relationship Ready. What was your impetus to write it? Um, and yeah, why did you decide that this was the next step?
Okay, so generally, this was interesting because generally I try to stay away from romance, like the talk of. I try to stay away from the talk only because one, I think when people hear the word relationship, they automatically think your boo,
Mm-hmm.
your boo thing, and it's like, and I don't like. I think that in order to heal even the boo thing, we have to heal just relationships, period.
That's
Right.
good.
So that's one of the reasons I kind of didn't want to set a lot of focus. And I'll have to say to people, oh, relationality is not necessarily about you and your husband or you and your wife or, it's about human relationships, period. But this one, what I actually found was a lot of people were asking about their significant other type relationships. So I wanted to pull a little bit because I talked about it very little in relationality.
Okay.
So then I wanted to pull it out a little bit deeper. And it was just on my heart to do so because I was seeing all, we're following the trends, all of the hashtag relationship goals. And, you see a
Right
couple and
now, you
everybody,
and me. Right.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, let's kind of talk to that a little bit because that's where people are. So of course, as you see, this book is a lot thinner than the relationality. I call that one like the Bible. This one is just like a little, this is one of the books.
Right.
So that one kind of
Definitely.
came from there, and to kind of just address how we're doing or preparing for our significant other type relationships because they are still significant and important. I just didn't want to set the first focus and highlight on that. So this one kind of goes more so to there, but it also, I've actually had a few people say this still, even if you're not in a relationship and not even necessarily preparing for one, the principles here still helps with everything. So it's right in the LeAnzar vein, I guess.
No, absolutely. I think it can. I was going to say that, even though, and you say in the beginning, right, that these principles can be applied.
Yeah,
Um, but if you go ahead and get the elephant out of the room of what where a lot of people's minds kind of go,
yeah,
I think they can kind of draw out those themes, perhaps
yeah,
um,
yeah.
a little bit easier. And so, how would you say the relationship is between what goes wrong and how we relate to each other outside of a relationship and what we then find in a relationship?
I think some of the issue outside of the relationship is figuring out how to be our authentic self, period.
That's good.
Now a lot of times we get stuck in our personalities because most of us think that that's who we are. We think our personality is the ultimate epitome of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
When I say all the time, it's like our personalities is really just kind of how you are.
Mm.
Who you are on a spirit level is a divine being made in the image likeness of God, and very pure. And this any our personalities can be deeply shaped by ego. It can be deeply shaped by environment. It can be shaped by having to protect yourself, having to survive.
Wow.
All of those things kind of shape our personality, and I'm sure like the word personality comes from the word persona, which means mask. It
Wow.
simply means mask. So our personalities is really our mask, and it doesn't necessarily mean fake, but it's like it's our mask. It's what we put on to deal with the world.
Right.
Whatever that may mean, and it can be good or bad. It can, So a lot of people lock themselves into their personality. So then, when they're trying to find a relationship, they're trying to find a relationship, a partner, based on their personality, which sometimes is changeable. You push the wrong button, it's gonna get some things kicked in or whatever. But also the whole aspect of thinking just that you're just your personality, so everything that you're shopping for has to fit into this box of your wish list or your personality, which could be some things. Your trauma could be in there.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like trauma
Oh,
can be in there,
totally.
any type of just cultural things that good or bad, but it's like any type of pattern, all of that can be housed in this little box or up under this mask, or within this mask.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we're approaching our relationships or approaching trying to have a relationship from a space of, I don't want to necessarily say just brokenness, but from a place that is not fully complete in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to that space of authenticity, of really sitting and figuring out, who am I? What am I here for? Or what am I? What do I really want? And not saying what do I want in terms of my grocery list of, you know, uh, like for women, I always say tall, dark, and handsome,
Right. Right. Right.
not necessarily the grocery list, but what do I really want to contribute to society, to
Mm.
this planet? What does my heart really want to give?
Mm-hmm.
But we think more so in terms of consumerism
Right.
instead of contribution. We were placed here to contribute
Right.
and to bring something to the planet.
Right.
And it seems like we get stuck in this realm of only figuring out what we can get from the planet, what we can get from life. And I
Wow.
think that if we don't heal that space going into any type of relationship or partnership, especially, we're going to abuse our partners or misuse our partners.
You know, what that made me think was, when you realize who you truly are. Um, and I've had this thought that I could almost be in a relationship with anyone. Um, they could not necessarily be in a relationship with
With
me,
you. Yeah.
but there's just something in the purity of love, you know.
Mm.
Um, and and what I've been learning more is like just grace and
Right.
graciousness, like with myself, you
Mhm.
know, that really, I don't know, that's just kind of what triggered that thought. And it may not be like, I don't know, 100% true, but if you've gotten to a place where you've been able to attract one another, you know, again, talking about these significant other relationships, um, depending on where you're at in your healing from your personality, your trauma, your
Mhm.
triggers, you know, I
Yeah.
can't take this, I can't
Yeah.
take, you know, and it just becomes where you just
Got
like
on my
box
last
yourself
nerve.
in,
Yeah.
you know, you get like so in this
Hmm.
little corner of what you can even take,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
um but if you've been able to like start at a place of being able to attract one another at one point, then, you know, potentially there could be like a returning to that,
Hmm.
if you've got, you know, as you pursue wholeness.
Yeah. And I think that that's a key, a very good word, returning to. That reminds me of the word repent.
Mm.
Return. Repent is to do again, right? And the pent comes from the word penthouse, which is higher. Is usually the top. Whatever. So it's like when
Wow.
Jesus says repent, it's like go back to your higher place, your higher
Wow.
self. The divine in you. And I think the same thing. It's like if there's, and I think that's what's the drive of a lot of the work that I do, or that I'm trying to do, is to get us to see ourselves again, not to see ourselves just as these downtrodden, whatever, or not to see ourselves more highly than we ought to,
Right.
but to
Right.
see ourselves as we truly are, to
Yes.
return to that space. And I really believe that if we return to that space, love is just natural to us there, and relating is just natural to. There's no way we can have been placed on this planet with 7 billion people and we're all incompatible like that. you know, so there's always the talk of, oh, we're just incompatible. Really? Maybe within some, and like you said, something maybe it's not 100%, whatever, but it's like, I don't know now, but if we can
Right, because you
return to
don't
the,
attract 100% to
yeah,
yourself. So I don't have to be able to get along, you know, necessarily with 100%, but
yeah,
with the one, with what actually comes. You know,
yeah,
it's kind of like that argument. Whenever I would hear people be kind of cynical about this idea that you really can be what you want to be in life. You really can
mm,
kind of, you know, design and envision your life. So
mm,
I remember actually this happened a couple of times, different people, but there would be like these 200, 300 pound guys or whatever. And they would say, yeah, but I can't think my way into being a ballerina. Right. But it's like, but you don't even want to be a
You don't
ballerina.
even want to be. Why would you even use that
Why
example?
would you
Yeah,
bring that up,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you're just you're trying to discredit it off of something random,
Hmm.
right? But
Hmm.
based on that which we attract and bring to ourselves, I think that it does speak about those lessons that we are there to learn, that we're ready to learn,
Hmm. Ready is a good
that
word.
we have a capacity to learn
Hmm.
at that point, um, which is very exciting. So, tell me about, like, just some feedback that you've gotten from the book, because I would imagine it would be really healing for people. Has anyone kind of commented to you?
It's it's just like with relationality. It's healing and angering to a lot of.
Yeah, well, tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm surprised, and I don't know why I'm surprised because sometimes when I'm writing this, it's almost as if writing and stuff like that is prophetic, because it's like I'm channeling it. It's like, and I'll go back and read it. It's like, well, who said that? You know, you
Absolutely.
know, but I really believe that it's coming from the heart of our Creator. So it's amazing to me sometimes at some of the pushback, but at the same time I get it. It's like, we all have lived how we've lived. We've been trained how we've been trained, or programmed how we've been programmed, or however you would want to word it. We live with our shells, or our shields, or our guards, or all those things, and they're valid. A lot of them are valid. A lot of people have gone through some really horrible stuff,
Hmm.
and my heart, I feel it when I'm talking to people. It's like, oh, you've really been abused or misused, because that can be just as bad. So I get some of the resistance, but it's usually coming from people, and what they'll finally say to me is, I know that what you're saying is right, but
Mm,
it's just hard. It's hard, or what am I supposed to do if they're not acting right? And that's why I say these type of messages are always to everybody,
yeah, right.
not just to the person that's actually listening.
Hmm.
It's to everyone. And the hard part is getting it to the ones that's doing the misuse. All right.
Right,
But we
right.
also have to be gracious enough, like you said, even with ourselves, loving enough, even with ourselves, to hear where we're in that picture
Mm,
and where we may be missing it, so that we can align ourselves. So that's been some of the feedback I have had. I had one lady said that she and I always question. Sometimes we start questioning ourselves. But she said that it changed her life. Just a line. It was one of the principles in here. I think I talked about yielding. It was the one at the end when I talked about yielding and what it really meant. And she said in her mind, for her relationship with her husband, everything was just focused on, I'm just supposed to submit to him. And she was looking at it from a negative connotation of, I'm supposed to just submit to him. They just want you to submit. But the way I talked about it shifted how she really saw that, or whatever.
mm,
So it was able to kind of, again, like you said, it brings healing to certain areas of our life. Healings, or even another perspective, maybe, or another way to look at it, so that we can bring our authentic self to it instead of having to bring our survival self to it.
yeah.
Well, let me figure out how to survive this relationship, because that's what I think a lot of people end up doing. And a lot of relationship coaches I've seen, and it hurts my heart, a lot of their message is how to survive.
Mm,
And it bothers me so much.
mm,
It bothers me. The
mm.
underlying message, I'm like, people walked away trying to figure out how to survive, not how to thrive together.
Wow.
So that's just been some of the things. So sometimes it's initial pushback, or I also get oh, that's idealism.
Mm.
Oh, it's just idealism. It's just we live in reality. And
That's
then my
pushback from another. That's the same pushback from the other way.
yeah, yeah, it
Because
really
it's
it
just
really
like,
is.
I don't want to do that work.
I-
You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna
yeah,
just say it can't be done.
it can't be done. It's not even possible, because people, that question comes out a lot. Well, do you really think people can love each other unconditionally? So we go into all of those. Whatever. I say, I do. I think it's not a question of, some things isn't a question of possibility. It's a question of probability. Will we do it?
Right. Right.
Versus can we do it?
Right.
When we tap into the spirit of our being, man, just look at how awesome you can be even when you just shoot in your ego sometimes. Like, artists sometimes can just go and paint something real quick and it's just amazing. Imagine how much greater
Wow.
these things can be
Wow.
coming from the very part of us that's just like God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
we can do it. It's just a matter of working through all of the things that have layered on top of us and working through trying to protect ourselves, which like I said, I totally, I
I
get it.
guess like the reason that I feel that we can, and the reason why I said what I said earlier, is because I've seen myself shift in my
Mm-hmm.
capacity to love me.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, if I could get to the place where I actually, so there, it's a process. First, you have to actually see who you are and see
Yeah.
how you are.
Yeah.
Right. So that's
Yeah.
a whole, that part, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
that's a whole thing right there,
We.
if you're even doing that. But
Yeah.
then when you see that and you know that, and then maybe get through the depression of that or whatever, but then then I'm just trying to manage with myself.
Hmm.
But then to begin to thrive and be like, man, I love myself, but just not, you know, man, some of the ways we love ourselves right now, it's like, man, I love me. And, y'all just have to put up with
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of that, what that
Yeah.
means. But when you come to a place of like really seeing yourself and being able to love yourself, for me, like, I'm like, wow, I think I could love anyone. Like, I
Yeah.
can love everyone
Hmm. And,
because I see where we connect.
and wouldn't that really be the truth of love?
Right.
When you there is no way, because I see it all the time too. I love me. There is no way that you can tell me that you have come to a clear, pure understanding of loving you and not apply that to somebody else. There,
Thank
if it does not I think I said, I may have said this at that the conference at Caritas. If your if this doesn't lead to, if our worship service, and this was more so about worship at that time,
you.
if
Yeah.
your worship doesn't lead to community, then
Yes.
something is still missing. And I
Yes.
think it's the
Yes.
same thing with if loving
Yes.
yourself
Right.
doesn't lead to you loving other people, something was something was missed. You got the haughty pat myself on the back kind of
Yeah.
love or
And
something.
and what you mean is leave me alone.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of. That's actually what you mean.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love thee and
I
stay
love
over
me.
there. If you don't love all of this and the way
Uh-huh.
I,
Exactly.
then
Exactly.
stay over there, right?
Perfectly. Yeah. Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, it's really powerful. Well, I want to give you some more positive feedback. I had Quentin Jackson. Thank you for watching. He said he tuned in right in time to hear something he's never thought of. Personality isn't so much who we are, but it's how we are. And our spiritual self is who we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're already getting good feedback right there.
Ah,
And
thank you, Quentin. Thank
he
you.
tunes in late, Quentin. We're talking to LeAnzar Stockley, and he's the author of Relationship Ready. Tell everyone where they can pick it up.
They can get it at my website, www.leanzarstockley. Don't ask me how to spell my name.
Yeah, it's in the title.
Right. www.leanzarstockley.com. And you also can get it at any of the other online, book Amazon and
Oh,
all of those
okay.
places and stuff too. So it's available anywhere books are sold in. What do you call it? What is the one?
Oh,
ebook or the hardcover. Well,
excellent.
soft. These are called soft covers now, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
since
So
no one else has the other one, they're now hard
right.
covers.
Right. Yeah.
Very good. And I'm repping you today. I don't know if you saw.
I saw it and I was going to say something about it. Look, and I was sitting and saying, should I put on one of my? Because I usually do. And I was like, I would have had to iron it.
Better for another one to praise you than your own lips, right?
Right. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
So,
Truly appreciate it too.
absolutely, absolutely. Tell me, as we kind of wrap up, what's something you learned about yourself when you wrote?
During
Like
this,
you said, this kind of went through you. So as you went back and read it, what did you learn?
that I needed to get relationship ready. No, it really, it really it really, you know, you think you're doing good, right? You
I
think you're like,
know, right?
hey, I wrote a couple of books, I got this. Mm-mm. But I've always said it, but it really does make you say, it holds you accountable. So I've had to learn and pay even more attention to how I relate
Yeah.
and my patterns of thinking that could potentially ruin a relationship with somebody. You
Mhm.
know, so it's like really having to go there and really, I also learned some things reading through, like reading back to this, I realized a lot of work that I needed to do within myself. I realized that areas where I didn't even know, how can I put it, where I didn't even feel loved. Uh,
Mm.
you know, so it's like, oh, how is that affecting how I relate to other people?
Mhm.
Or, you know, when you get to a certain place and realize certain things that you never had in your life, and it's just kind of like, whoa, you know, but it made me approach this, and even with during the book tour and what it made me approach this from a deeper place of grace.
Mm.
So I think my biggest takeaway in this process of learning about myself was that I do have a greater capacity than I thought I did.
Mm.
You know, so it's actually positive, but I see a lot of areas that I'm having to tweak, some areas where I'm having to fine tune, and not in an effort of trying to be, you know, perfect and without error, but just trying to be mature.
Yeah, and you talk in the book about accountability.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
and so you know, holding yourself accountable to the words that you're putting out there
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
is a powerful and beautiful thing, you know.
hmm That's where the whole "I am love for you" comes from.
Yeah,
It
tell
holds
me about that.
it holds you account. It holds me. I know it's definitely my personal mantra and
Yeah.
just personal go to. It holds me accountable to not just have a consumer type of love for you. I
Mhm.
love you like I love cookies, you know.
Right,
You know,
right.
but to say I am the embodiment of what the pure essence of what love is for you. It
Yeah,
holds me accountable to that. It remind one is a revelation, you know, when you get to the core of who you are.
it
So
is.
when you know you have that, like we talked about earlier, sitting and understanding your authentic self. So one is a revelation, but it's also a reminder.
Mm.
So it's like a reminding myself when I see you and I say, hey, I am love for you. It's reminding me to be conscious and be mindful and be aware and be awakened to how I actually relate to you.
Mm.
You know, so it helps me a lot.
I love that, and it goes right to the core of what truth is, which it can either be very offensive or very empowering.
Yeah,
All really core truth is like that,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
And so with that phrase, I am love for you, it's something that before you get there, it just seems like, too bold. How can you say that? You know what I
I
mean?
get that
You are
question all the time.
all of love, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but the thing is, once you have that revelation, it's like if it doesn't come through me right now, why am I putting that responsibility on someone
On
else?
somebody else.
If it's not here now through me,
Mm-hmm.
like everywhere I go, I'm always there. So if it's
Yeah.
not me,
Then who? You've you've heard the statement where they have you ever heard the phrase someone said if love's not being served at the table, get up and leave? Have you ever heard
oh
that?
wow, I've
It,
heard a variation.
yeah, and my thought always is, okay, then if it's not being served, why don't you serve it?
Yeah,
If you came to the table, what did you come to bring? Then
right.
serve it. You know, it may be rejected, it may be whatever, but if it's not there, bring it. If you go into a space and it's not there, bring it. If you're in your relationship, bring it. Now that doesn't mean that they're not there. Like I said, don't mean they're going to receive it. You know, and they may shun you, but at least you brought it because you know who you are and you know the contribution that you want to leave on this planet. You know,
And that
so
that is that powerful and confident place. We know it's offensive because it's a highly accountable place,
yeah.
right? But here's the selling point. This is what's awesome. You go and you give it, and if it's rejected, you can just return to the love you brought.
That's good. That's
like
really
you're
good.
gonna be loved back because that's all there is. That's all
Yeah, that's
you
good.
need. That's all, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there really isn't, it's only risky maybe in the beginning before you
Hmm.
realize that that's how it works,
Yeah, but
right?
ultimately, there's nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. Like you realize, oh my gosh, no one can do anything to me
Yeah,
because I can
that's
always
awesome.
return
Hmm.
to this love that is, it's way bigger than you,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so it's not a denial. To say I am love for you is not a denial that it's greater than you,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? But
Hmm.
it's just a recognition that, I am a part of that, whatever, stained glass, and that's how it flows through. I'm
Yes.
one color of it,
Yes.
and you're going to get that. But I get to return to all of it,
Yes.
regardless of how you view it. Whether that
Love it
color
put that
was
way.
right for you today.
Right. 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 Today. Love it.
Yeah, you get me in the deep thoughts, man. I'm telling you. All of this, when I heard you speak so many years ago, all of this was going on, right? I
Oh,
just
good.
anyone to bounce it off or whatever, but I was like, I'm popping like popcorn over here. See this happening.
How can we not respond to the messages that are at the core of who we are?
Right.
It calls to something inside of us.
Yeah.
So it just does. Even if we don't even fully agree with it at first,
Yeah.
it calls to something in here that's just like, oh, darn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. That's what I recognized yesterday as I was sitting back. I mean, as I was thinking back and preparing for this interview, just really thinking about what you mean to me and what your message and your life has meant to
awesome.
me
Awesome.
over the years. And I'm like, that was an opening of the door.
Mm-hmm.
It really was an opening of the door because when you tear down that wall of separation, you
Hmm.
know, it just invites you to a whole new experience
It really
of
does.
life, and it's so powerful. Deep cries out to deep.
Deep cries out to deep. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe that that's what this show will be. That those that are in that place that need to hear it are ready to hear it. Yeah, maybe need to, whether they think they're ready.
But that's right. Yeah.
But we believe that it will call out to them. And what would you say you really wanted people to be left with? And I did want to mention this. You have a unique writing style. Um, it's
Everybody says that.
did you say everybody says that?
Everybody says that. Yeah. Even the editor. She's like, you just write a and this is her second book editing for me, so she's
Okay,
kind of like, so she's really used to
you
it. She
get
calls it an artistic voice.
it is an artistic voice, and the thing is, you do write like you talk, but
Mm-hmm.
yet my experience of you in the book is a little different of my experience of you here.
In first,
So
really?
it's its own thing, and it's like it's a friend that sits down with you and
Uh-huh.
has a great sense of humor that you get sometimes, and sometimes it takes a couple pages and you're like, oh, I think that's what he meant. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
Some of it's kind of dad joke like.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
it's super fun. So it's like sitting down with a friend. It's not textbook like. It's sitting down with a friend and giving you some ideas and everything. And is that kind of what you wanted people
That's
to come away
yeah. I was gonna say that's usually I try to, because in my head, even while I'm writing, I'm having a conversation,
with?
and I'm so much better with just regular raw conversation. So the hard part as a writer to me is trying to write where you at least sound halfway smart.
To be
But
clear, by page 2, he doesn't care about that.
yeah,
You just better see the wisdom. If you look
yeah,
for the
yeah,
wisdom, you'll see the wisdom. But he ain't
yeah,
gonna pretty it up and put
yeah. Because I'm just better this way. I'm so much better this way, and I try to write that way because I also know a lot of people don't like to read.
mm,
So it's like if they can, everybody has. most of the feedback that I've gotten from people, especially people that know me, they said it's like sitting and talking to you. And I was like, good. I said, well, at least I did one part right.
Something that you intended to do.
That was definitely intended. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
That's super cool. Well, I cannot recommend it any more highly. Relationship Ready, LeAnzarStockley.com. You can
Yeah.
go and get it there, all the major online networks. I truly have cherished this time with you.
Me
Thank you
too.
for letting me come with you on the tour. And I will have you back for book 3. If a book 3 comes out, we're having
Oh,
you
gee.
for it. So yeah, you're like, don't even,
Don't
girl.
even. Right. Don't even.
We want more. We want more. It's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. Thank you so much.
Same here. Same here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, follow. LeAnzar has a page as well. And also consider supporting him on patreon.com/LeAnzar Stockley or slash
Society 61.
Sorry, that's right.
Yeah.
Society 61. And if you need that information again, you can contact either of us because I am a supporter of his.
Yes. Thank
And
you.
you are so welcome. Yeah, I was one of his first like
Yes.
get out there and push that thing. You do get some really cool relational insights every month and things about spiritual development and things that just give a perspective shift that just freshens your whole spiritual life. That's really the thing. It's not about necessarily um, a group think. It's
Yeah.
not that. It's just
Yes.
that when you get a fresh set of eyes and a fresh perspective on what you believe,
Mhm.
it just brightens everything. It just
Yeah.
brightens everything. And God is the breath of life, and you want him to keep breathing. Have him keep breathing into you. And I recommend LeAnzar Stockley's Patreon page for that. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to support. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you, everybody. We'll
Bye,
see you.
everyone.